Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video covers the present simple tense, the most basic tense in English. It's part of a video series that will cover all 12 English tenses. The structure of the present simple tense is quite simple. It's merely the subject and then the main verb. For example, I eat breakfast or she plays basketball. It's the most basic English tense and it uses the base form of the verb, except for to be. The only other change to a verb is the addition of s for third person singular. If this sounds confusing, don't worry. We will look closely at all the details. So when we use to be, we have to be careful about subject-pronoun agreement. So the pronoun changes the verb. I am happy. You are happy. She is happy. He is happy. It is happy. They are happy. We are happy. So it's either am, are, or is. We add s for third person singular. It's used for the pronouns he, she, and it. She runs quickly. He sings beautifully. It eats plenty. There are many irregular verbs, which means that their third person singular form may be different than simply base form plus s. Have becomes has. She has Facebook. Watch becomes watches. She watches the news. Cry becomes cries. He cries every night. So, irregular verbs in third person singular, used for the pronouns he, she, and it. She has a television. He watches television. She cries often. This is exactly what we talked about in the previous slide. I just wanted to show you some more examples. There's two more kinds of sentences, negative sentences and questions. So far, we've only talked about positive sentences. Let's investigate. For negative sentences, we use this form. Subject plus do or does plus main verb, base form. I do not run. She does not run. They do not eat. It doesn't eat. So after do or does, we have to put not to express negative. It's a little more complicated with the verb to be. Here we have the following form. We have the subject plus be in the present simple, and then not. I am not happy. She is not happy. He is not happy. It isn't happy. They are not happy. We aren't happy. And we can use contractions. So instead of saying are not, we can say aren't. Instead of saying is not, we can say isn't. Here's some more examples of negative sentences and question sentences. If you want, you can pause the video and read them. And here's negative sentences and question sentences with to be. Take a look at those and memorize the form. Now, we're going to look at when do we use the present simple? What is its function? Okay? Now, this image here is pretty helpful because it shows how the present simple can be used to express an action that happens regularly. It could be now or the past or the future, or all of these times together. But we're going to look in more detail. When and why do we use present simple? The first reason is for habits and routines. The second is for general facts and truths. And the third is for thoughts and feelings. Let's look at each one in depth. So for habits, I play guitar. That's a habit. Maybe I do it every day. Maybe I do it once a week. Whatever. She meditates every night. They do independent study. I don't exercise. Does he read books? You can see the negative and the question form as well. Okay, routines. I brush my teeth at 9 a.m. That's my routine. The implication is I do this every day. Since I'm talking about a routine that I do every day, I use present simple. They go to school in the morning. Does she work in the afternoon? You always jog in the evening. So for practice, could you state some of your daily routines? Why don't you pause the video and prepare 5 sentences? You can say it out loud or you can write it. You could have said, I get up at 6:30 a.m. I eat breakfast at 8 a.m. I work for 3 hours in the morning. I watch TV in the afternoon. Those are my routines. So when you're talking about your daily routine, you're going to usually use present simple. Okay, number 2 is for general facts and truths. Canada is cold. Now that's just a general truth. It's always true, right? Mars orbits the sun. She is 49 kg. Indonesia is the 4th most populous country. These are things that are always true. They're facts. So for this, we use present simple. And finally, thoughts and feelings. So if you want to express your thought or your feeling, you can sometimes use present simple. My knee hurts today. She has a headache. They think we are incorrect. Do you agree with her? Does she feel happy? Now, these are similar to facts, right? Your thoughts and your feelings are facts, at least at the present moment. Practice. I'll ask you a question, and you need to respond using the correct sentence, okay? Does your knee hurt? Do you have a dog? Do you live in Canada? No, my knee doesn't hurt. Yes, I have a dog. No, I don't live in Canada. Okay, so those are the basic rules, right? So habits and routines, facts and general truths, thoughts and feelings. But there are some more advanced rules, which we're going to look at now. If you just want a basic understanding of present simple tense, you can probably stop the video. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, then continue watching. Now, there's something called an emphatic do in English. We may use do to emphasize something in a present simple positive sentence. It's kind of a mouthful. I do wish to see you. I do apologize for my rude behavior. You do look good today. Why do we add do? It's present simple tense, but we put do before the verb. Only in a positive sentence. It's because we want to emphasize something. I want to see you. I wish to see you. If I really wish to see you, I say, I do wish to see you. So that's called the emphatic do. Okay, the next point, we're going to be talking about state verbs. So a state verb is one that describes a state of being, not an action. Examples of state verbs. To know, to love, to understand. Yeah, so to know something, it's not really an action. It's a state of being. I know this. Same with love and understand. Now, it's not so simple because some verbs have a state meaning and an action meaning, right? But when they are in their state meaning, we use the present simple. So, I love my family. She understands Bahasa Indonesia. Do they know my name? So these are state verbs, and we're using present simple because they're in their state meaning. Sometimes we may not know whether to use the present simple or the present continuous. So now we're getting more advanced, and like I said, this might not interest you, but the present continuous is I am running, she is playing, we are talking. Here's a difference. I play guitar, present simple. I am playing guitar, present continuous. Sometimes we don't know which one we should use, right? Some verbs can have two meanings, state meanings and action meanings. For example, think. I think that's a bad idea. So here, think is not an action, it's a state. It's in my mind. I think it's a bad idea. But if thinking is an action, I am thinking about buying a guitar. Here, thinking is the process of considering something. It's the difference between a state and a process. When verbs are in their state meaning, we use present simple. And when they are in their action meaning, we use present continuous. Here are some examples. My diet doesn't appear to work. The Prime Minister is appearing at a conference. I expect the spring to come soon. He is expecting his package will arrive this afternoon. So, just for your reference, other verbs that have both state and action meanings include anticipate, expect, cost, feel, fit, have, imagine, measure, weigh, think, appear. Okay, the next part, performative verbs. Like I said, we're getting really advanced here. This is not necessarily something you need to know, but it's quite interesting. And if you want to go into advanced grammar and be a real expert, this is for you. So, what are performative verbs? These are verbs that perform certain actions rather than just describing them. I admit I am not a good guitarist. I apologize for being late. Here are some more common performative verbs. I'm not going to read them all, but you can check them out. And we'll move on. We can use present simple with performative verbs. Okay? I promise you will feel better. I guarantee a victory. She approves of my decision. They recommend we travel in autumn. So these verbs do not merely describe an action, they perform the action. So it's like, I am promising you will feel better. But we don't use present continuous because promise is a performative verb. We use I promise you will feel better. Like I said, that's kind of a lot to remember. But if you simply remember the list of performative verbs, which I showed you, and remember to use present simple with them, I think you'll be okay. We can use modals with performative verbs to make our sentences more polite or tentative. A modal is a word you put before the verb to slightly modify its meaning. I can promise you will feel better. We would advise not to drive in the snow. She will approve of my decision. They would recommend we travel in autumn. So if you say, I advise not to drive in the snow. If you want to soften that and make it more polite, you say, I would advise not to drive in the snow. So these modals, they make your speech more polite. That's important when you're talking in English, right? You want to be able to express yourself politely and elegantly. If you say, I recommend you don't travel in autumn, that's fine, it's not rude, but if you want to sound more graceful, you say, I would recommend you don't travel in autumn. When we tell stories or jokes, we use the present simple to describe the main events in the sequence. We use the present continuous to describe longer background events. So, here's an example. The dog is sitting in the park when a man approaches it and tries to pick it up. The dog runs through the park, past the playground, and into the forest. Verbs we have here are first sitting, approaches, tries, runs. So why is sitting in the present continuous, but approach, try, and run are in the present simple? Because approach, try, and run describe the events that happened in a sequence, one after the other. But sitting describes the background event. The dog was already sitting in the park before this story began. So that's important to remember too. Present continuous describes the longer background events. Present simple describes the main events in a sequence. In live commentaries of events, like sports, we can use the present simple and the present continuous in the same way as when we are telling a narrative. So the same as the last slide, basically. DeRozan passes the ball to the wing and Murray shoots for 3. The Spurs are playing smarter this quarter. They are playing smarter. That's the background event. DeRozan passes, Murray shoots. Those are events in a sequence. In anecdotes and narratives about the past, the present simple can be used to highlight an event. In this case, it is often part with a phrase such as suddenly or all of a sudden. I was running through the park, enjoying my exercise, when suddenly a deer walks out of the forest and into the street. We're talking about the past tense, something that happened in the past. we use the present simple to say the deer walks out of the forest. Now this is confusing. Why do we use the present simple? Well, if you look at the rule again, it says we use the present simple to highlight an event. The deer walks out of the forest. That's an important event. We want to highlight it. Okay, another one. We can use the present simple when we want to introduce news we have heard, read, seen, or been told. In this case, we pair the present simple with phrases such as I hear, I gather, I see, I understand, and they say. This is important because we talk about the news quite often, right? So, I was reading the news yesterday, right? But if I'm talking to you today, I say, oh, I hear the Raptors won the basketball game last night. I see the stock market has been doing well recently. She read that Bali is an excellent place for vacation. Mary tells me you're thinking of moving. So as you can see, to introduce news that we read or heard in the past, we actually use the present simple. The present simple is often used in newspaper headlines to describe recent events. For example, volcano erupts in Iceland. Actually, the volcano erupted in the past, but the headline uses present simple. National debt tops 30 trillion. Snowstorm hits North Dakota. All these events have been happening in the past or happened in the past. So they only use present simple because it's in the headline of the newspaper. We also use present simple to refer to the contents of books, movies, and newspapers. Frodo carries the ring to Mordor in The Lord of the Rings. Rowling gives us something to think about at the end of her newest novel. The zombies attack the farm at the end of the episode. Okay, so finally, we have reached the end of the advanced rules. That's a lot to take in, but let's just do a little quiz for your own practice. Choose the correct answer. This is multiple choice. The answer is, how long does it take to get there? Next one. The bag of potatoes isn't expensive. The answer is, what does she want to eat? She runs to school. My sister likes to eat watermelon. Okay, here, fill in the blank. Put the verbs in the correct sentences. You should pause the video and do this on your own. Okay, I hope you are finished. I'll read the answers for you. When she doesn't feel well, she sits down. My girlfriend is very busy. She is working on her laptop. When the sun goes down, the moon rises. We eat bread and peanut butter when we are hungry. In Indonesia, the sun shines brighter than in Antarctica. Now, get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for all of the rest of the tenses. We're going to go through all 12 tenses. And present simple, in a way, it's the most basic. So it's going to get more advanced. And if you have any questions, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And I teach English online. You can find me on italki, or you can just send me an email. I'll put the email in the video description. All right, thanks for watching. Good luck studying.